Well, the top news story seems to change on a fairly frequent basis in the news these days. And over the last week or so, the biggest story has been a massive caravan of people. I call it the invasion caravan that is headed toward America's southern border. They are still a little under 2,000 miles away, but they seem to be making pretty good speed at this point. They've already busted through the wall or the barricades to get out of Guatemala, to get into Mexico. And now Mexico is apparently just allowing this massive caravan to head north toward the United States. I thought I'd talk about that with Maria Espinoza, who's the national director of the Remembrance Project. Maria, welcome back to the program.
Hello, Lance. Thanks so much for having me on again.
So is this the October surprise that the Democrats usually have planned for every major election in America?
Right. They orchestrate it, and then they try to place the blame on President Trump's shoulders and, trying to make him look like an evil person in the Republican Party as the evil when all we're trying to do is to protect our borders.
Yeah, and in fact, the president has said if he needs to, he'll put the military on the border. Do you think that's what we're up against? Because this caravan started at 1,000. It's now supposed to be at 7,000 or greater, but there have been numbers that are greater than that now. By the time it hits the border, if it keeps growing the way it has been, it could be over 10,000 people trying to get into the United States all at the same time.
I think the military is the only way that we're going to stop this invasion. And according to Chief Manny Padilla out of the RGV sector, the Rio Grande Valley sector in Texas, there, McAllen, he mentioned that in the last 2 weeks, there were 5,400 family units coming through. And this is in advance of that caravan. Also, they captured gang members, cartels, and of course, there were over 700 pounds of marijuana and other drugs. I think it's overwhelming for the Border Patrol agents. There has to be some help there, and that's what he's asking for, is for reinforcements.
I thought we might actually get some help from Mexico when President Trump last week said to Mexico, if you don't help us stop this, then we may end up with no trade deal whatsoever. And I thought initially Mexico was trying to help, but now I guess not.
Right. And just think of it this way. I think that Mexico, of course, is helping the Democrat Party. And should the Democrats win this midterm, they would, of course, move again to impeach President Trump, and they would implement their far-left agenda. So this is a win situation for Mexico. And Lars, that they have no intention in stopping this invasion.
No, and in fact, if they can get Trump out of the way, and if they can take away one house of the Congress, then they stop him from passing anything as a bill, which pushes him back to the only other thing he has available is executive orders. And I've been very proud that this president has not used executive orders in place of legislation the way his predecessor did so frequently. What else can we do to get this thing stopped?
Well, I think that the American people need to speak up. They certainly need to be showing their support and making their voices heard, calling the White House at 202-456-1111 and telling President Trump that we support him and we support placing the military on the border in order to stop the invasion and protect America and American lives. And also, I think that we need to go ahead and obviously go vote and vote for those who will stand for securing our border and for an America First agenda that President Trump is pushing forward. But he can't do it alone. We can use the military. We can take that trade deal off the table. We can also implement some sort of, I would say, additional fees or assessed fees wherever possible, like the remittance fees. Mexico has assessed fees for the money going into their country from the United States. Let's piggyback on that and really make them feel the pain, because the remittance fees, that garners the Mexico just about $2 billion a month on those remittances. That is from the money wired into Mexico. They have every intention, again, to continue that flow of money and to push their citizens onto the American taxpayer, while trying to collect the U.S. foreign aid, and U.S. foreign aid has to be taken off the table as well.
Hey, Maria, would you mind reminding my audience about the Remembrance Project and what that is all about?
Would love to. We started in 2009 as a voice for victims killed by illegal aliens. And actually, Lars, November 4th of this year, we're going to recognize the National Day of Remembrance for Americans killed by illegal aliens. This is our 7th year to recognize this National Day. We want to make sure that this issue is not swept under the rug once again. And, President Trump, we've also asked him to officially and nationally proclaim this Day of Remembrance so that we can fix the problem. These families, our American families, are permanently separated from their loved ones, never to see them again till they reach heaven, all 100% preventable, and it's the lack of spine and courage and doing the right thing that these politicians who are elected to do protect America and follow our Constitution, and that's the reason why there are wonderful fallen Americans who have lost their lives. So, we also, Lars, have a chaplaincy group and a crisis intervention group where we help the families and get the help that they need, psychologically, emotionally, too. So, we're doing a lot of things. We're just so very grateful that President Trump has been excellent on this issue and listened to our angel moms and dads. But, we have to get off those sofas and get our friends and family to help out and speak out.
The only ideas I'd add to yours, I like the idea of taxing the remittances, but I think there may be an easier way to do it. You know that the IRS has all kinds of rules even for American citizens. If you go down to your bank for some reason and deposit around $10,000, the IRS gets notified because they know that they don't want people hiding cash. I have a feeling a lot of the remittance money that is sent back is money that's earned as cash by illegal aliens who are working illegally in this country. And when they send it out of the country by going down to a convenience store, a place where they can buy a Western Union money order and send it to their families, it effectively hides it for tax purposes. And I have a feeling a lot of it they've not paid taxes on it. So say if you're a legal American citizen or a green card holder, you have a Social Security number. If you want to send money by Western Union, say more than $100 at a time, you're going to have to show a Social Security number. If you don't, you have to pay a fee. And you could make the fee pretty stiff. You could make it 5 or 10% and say this is a way of reminding folks that you are not going to be able to dodge the tax man, and that we understand that if you're sending that money south, we can't stop you from sending the money, but we could say you have to have a Social Security number or it's a 5 or 10% fee. The other thing I would suggest to Americans is we're heading into the fall where it gets cold in most parts of America. A lot of people decide to take vacation time, and sometimes they vacation in Mexico, both because, there's a lot of sun and because it's inexpensive. It might be a good idea. I don't sponsor boycotts because I think my audience is smart enough to make their own decisions, but have a vacation in the United States and skip Mexico and send them a message that if they're willing to help people invade our country, then we don't need to be spending tourist dollars, which are also important in Mexico. Maria, what's the website very quickly for the Remembrance?
TheRemembranceProject.org. And also, Lance, we do support building of the wall. This caravan could not get through if there was a wall there.
Maria, I really appreciate you taking the time. That's Maria Espinoza from the National Remembrance Project.